Strange worlds, strange creatures, and a man and his tools in hand. This is the world of Prophet, a science fiction comic series created by Rob Liefeld and first published by Image Comics. With the first appearance in Youngbloods #2 in July 1992, but is now written by Brandon Graham with key artists Simon Roy, Farrell Dumple, and Giannis Milnoyanis. So what exactly is Prophet, you may ask? Prophet is a science fiction tale as old as time, where a character by the name of John Prophet travels the cosmos in search of various missions to save humanity and discover the unknown and much more. Each issue usually begins with Prophet awakening in a new area and sometimes in a new physical form. With time being non-linear from issue to issue, it uses a series of vignettes that further emphasize the story afoot for John Prophet. In the very first issue, John Prophet awakes with one mission: to awaken the Earth Empire. But much to the aversion of comics, he doesn't speak at all for the remainder of not only this issue, but the story ahead. The comics use visuals as its primary source of storytelling. Furthermore, it reaches new heights in the small genre of science fiction. Prophet actually never used to be like this. Before the current 5-year run led by Brandon Graham, the Prophet comics were a brutal look at the age-old super soldier hero arc, where he was a weapon of the Vietnam War and then went on a quest for self-discovery, which may sound familiar to you. The original issues were drafted by Rob Liefeld, who is the creator of Deadpool and many other adult heroes as well. Prophet became a cult favorite, but never reached mass appeal like the other comics of its era. As I read Prophet for the first time, I was quickly reminded of the artist Mobius. You may not recognize the name. His real name is Jean Girard. He's a French comic artist, most known for his poppy psychedelic art style. I became familiar with his work watching the wonderful documentary Jodorowsky's Dune, which chronicles the failed science fiction film adaptation that was going to be directed by avant-garde filmmaker Alejandro Jodorowsky. Mobius was brought in by Jodorowsky to create conceptual art for the film. His art for the film has had a massive impact on the genre of science fantasy and fiction. They even went on to work together on the Inkle comic series, further placing their mark on the genre, which was another cult favorite.
De sortie de soi, de conscience surmultipliée ou altérée, je sais pas quel terme on peut employer, mais je trouve qu'altéré c'est un peu idiot, je dirais plutôt de conscience désaltérée, moi je dirais. C'est des choses qui poussent à la communication. Au niveau de la technique, c'est quelque chose qui est en même temps extrêmement complexe, mystérieux, bizarre, indescriptible et en même temps très naturel. C'est une espèce de transe légère qui me laisse conscient de tout ce qui se passe autour de moi, mais me branche sur une autre dimension, littéralement. Et c'est comme s'il y avait un travail plutôt que de création, c'est un travail de découverte.
You can see the impact of Mobius on the work of many well-known artists, such as filmmakers George Lucas, Ridley Scott, and Luc Besson, to name a few. He successfully took science fiction imagery from the literal to the metaphysical, the imagination of the human psyche blasted onto the page. The influence of Mobius carries us all the way to the new run of Prophet Comics, reaching the height of Mobius and 2001: A Space Odyssey, with its sheer willingness to embrace the weirdness and terror of the human condition into the science fiction. Reading Prophet, you get lost in the journey of it all. It's like everything makes sense and zero sense all at the same time. Something I could also say for my first viewing of Akira by Katsuro Otomo. I must say, I have the highest regard for artists such as Brandon Graham and Simon Roy, further continuing the long-shadowed tradition of diving deep into the psyche and translating it to the art in this vast genre we call science fiction. They create out-of-this-world storytelling and imagery just in the first volume alone. Most sci-fi we see today creates a rule system or framework we must follow from the beginning of the story to the end, forgetting clearly why we love this genre in the first place. We have the infinite universe at our fingertips, but we choose to lock down our stories and not even surprise ourselves in their creation. We forget that moment we took pen to paper and drew a spaceship and didn't even know what it would look like until we finished it. Science fiction is a genre rife with cliches and recycled plots that rest in a spaceship or a planet that is full of room for stories wider than any other genre. We hear explosions at the Battle of the Death Star, or use fire extinguishers to escape from an impossible explosion. Contrary to popular belief, there are no rules in this genre, and there never should be. Prophet's small run from 2012 to 2017 in just a few volumes is just another chapter in the wild imagination of science fiction. Just another tale written by those who drew the stars, and maybe a story after that. It's not for everyone, but it might just be the best comic you never read. Thanks for watching.